Hi, this is Ron from POCculture.com. Martha, Sean, how are you doing?
We're doing great. Good to see you, Ron. Really lovely to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. Martha, I'm going to start with you because you and I chatted in January of this year, which is hard for me to believe, right when the show premiered.
It's incredible, right? It's been such a journey since then.
Yeah, and that's actually what I want to know. Obviously you were excited when the show premiered and it was a great time, but when did you know, like, oh my gosh, this is beyond what I thought. This is a huge hit that we have.
I mean, yeah, when I spoke to you, I just already was in shock of just the reception. But the fact towards the end, once I started just getting DMs, and I'm hardly ever on, I had to ask Sean, like, how do you do stories? And yes, I'm the mom. But it was just wonderful to get DMs from how people it was all positive in terms of just what the show brought, how relatable it was, how many topical issues that were so relevant that we explored, but still we're all in the vein, like for entertainment, but education and information and just the investment that people shared with me through Instagram was just like, wow, this is really something special because it's a unique show in terms of a network, network program. So it's been wonderful, Ron.
That's great to hear. And yes, everybody go follow Martha on Instagram. Sean doesn't need any more followers, 1.5 million followers on Instagram, which is incredible. So Sean, how was last season for you? Just like being on that ride of being on this show, it being a huge hit, getting renewed, what's it been like for you?
I mean, honestly, I came in this entire journey with like literally no expectations. I was just in this high of being super grateful to be a part of just of the show, and also just living in the moment of realizing how lucky I am to be surrounded by castmates that I can call family, like off and on camera. Like it feels surreal. And so to me, just being a part of that ride was just like one of the highlights of my entire career. And so to see people respond to it so well, like I from, at least from my perspective, I was expecting nothing, like not because of the story of the show, but just because of, the many factors that can come from it being a new show and then it being on Fox and it being such on extreme topics, so like to me, it was just like, okay, well, I feel super proud of it and I'm going to end it there for me, and then, but for people to kind of like be like, whoa, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is happening, and then the second season is starting to happen. I'm like, oh my God, everything is just happening so fast, but like, I am so there for it, and I'm like, I want it faster. You know what I mean? So like, it really is one of those, like, trying to find the right balance of humbling myself between, knowing that anything could happen with this. So.
Yeah, I love hearing that. I mean, speaking of faster, it's hard to get much faster than what the ride you all have been on for both of you. The show, again, premiered earlier this year, and then you got the renewal, and you're back to work, and the show is coming back in September. And that's pretty rare to have it like that. So, Martha, like, how, I guess, good or challenging has it been to go right back to work for this second season?
Ron, honestly, for me, I was lost without without the show. I was like, oh my God. First of all, I was homeless. I was like, I don't even know how house. And then just dealing with, the uncertainty of things. So obviously for me, knowing that we were renewed was just amazing to return to the cast, the story and everything. But relocating back to New Mexico was just such a blessing because I think, like, as Sean had mentioned, the connection that we all have, it is like a family off and on set. So it's wonderful to be back. But I mean, there was never any pressure or anything. I really have such faith in the writers because they've given us so much incredible material, emotionally, artistically, and the fact that it you know, the show was so successful in terms of numbers, ratings. It's a testament to, you know, Miranda Kwok and Melissa Carter, who have really shaped this show in such a beautiful way for everybody to like respond to. So I'm like, I'm in bliss, Ron. That's all I can say.
I can see it on both your faces. You're beaming, which I love to see. Well, Sean, this season, going into season 2, we're gonna tap dance around spoilers.
Yeah.
You know all about dancing,
Yeah,
so
tap dance.
we can tap dance around it. Fiona and Chris have a very interesting storyline that brings you obviously together, and it's going to be a very interesting journey. Like, how did you approach this storyline once you read about it, and what do you hope like audiences will take away from learning about your character this season?
I mean, honestly, I think there really wasn't much for me to actually be able to prepare for something like this in the second season. Like, you know, with everything that was happening, I think that the one thing I learned was not telling myself how to react to this type of situation. I think for me, it was more so of like waiting till I got on set to see my actual, you know, mom and my family and all these things like that, and see how Chris would respond to that naturally. Obviously, it's not the most ideal way to prepare for such an intense scene or intense situation, but I think that was what was necessary for me, at least, because I can't really pull anything from my real life to you know, to portray that. So to kind of just depend on the relationships I have with my TV family, which has definitely been the strongest pillar for me in going into the second season.
I love that, and I'm glad there's nothing in your real life that you can draw from for this storyline.
Sure. Yeah.
And Martha, for you, I really like this storyline for both of you, because you know the first season it is a very much family oriented show, but primarily about Tony and her son. So this clearly is leading us towards really bringing the two of you together. You know, what are you most excited about for audience to see as your two characters develop?
I think like in terms of how we've already grown from the first season in terms of, you know, Fiona's empowerment, and then there's the possibility of a business. There's all these and limitless and endless possibilities for Fiona. But I think like in all actuality, what I'm excited about is, and I always say it in every interview, is the worlds colliding. I want to see what would happen if, you know, things kind of cross over, and just have Fiona's response and reactions and how she deals with those situations. I think those are definitely going to be really fun.
Martha wants all the messiness. She likes the messiness.
She doesn't want to clean, but she wants to make the mess.
Right.
Well, look, I mean, I didn't get to punch anyone. Well, wait, we'll see.
Excellent tease. You're already an expert at that.
I'm trying.
John, you've talked a few times about like the show family, and it really does seem like the cast is a tight family. You know, do they treat you like their son? Does Martha treat you like her son?
I mean, you know? we're definitely at the point where she feels like my mom, especially because since I'm out here in New Mexico individually, like it's really refreshing to be around around Martha in a way where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm casually eye rolling her. But I also think that like it's a huge I guess testament to like the entire crew. Like for me, like aside from just like what people see on the show, like the entire crew of the show feels like family. Like we're so close, and you know, even with Melissa and Miranda being on set, like it doesn't feel like we're there are lines between each I guess roles, you know, like for us with they're always been so welcoming to us, and they've always been so generous with their hospitality, and also with just like their with their just like care for us. And I think that we have that with all the camera operators, with all the writers, with just anyone that's on set. And so I think that leaves such a huge impact to just feeling like we're doing what we love with the people that we love doing it with.
I think it's such a conducive environment for, I mean, amazing creativity, and just to have that safety for us to be so to be so raw and open.
Yeah.
I think that it says a lot about how the show has developed, and it is about the environment, and honestly, the authenticity and genuine relationships that we've all formed on set really also adds to our performances. So I think that's, it's a great experiment of like what you can produce when everybody's really lovely.
Yeah, and I feel like for some reason it's rare to ever be in an environment that welcomes vulnerability. Yeah. Because then it makes you feel like you can do anything, you can do anything and feel just feel
Empowered.
Yeah, empowered by it.
I think that really comes through. And my last question about authenticity for both of you, this is of course a uniquely diverse show that really highlights Southeast Asian cultures. So, going into this season, like, what do you really hope that specifically, Southeast Asian audiences will take away from your characters as they grow? Martha?
I think, like, in terms of just being able to see yourself on a network show or on TV is already empowering. I think the fact that representation itself is such an empowerment for anybody to just see that that they are represented, on in that media, and especially being with TV being such a strong platform to influence perceptions. I think this is such a show where it shows the humanized point of view of our culture, and not in such a stereotypical, narrow way. So yeah. I think that's what's really important about the show too.
Yeah, she said it perfectly. Like, I think that it's one of those cases where you're not watching someone who either reminds you of them and feel like, oh yeah, this is why I'm like too afraid to put myself out in the world, and instead be like, wow, this is exactly why, like, everything that's being said in the show are things that I've felt so too afraid of showcasing myself, and so to know that, like, it's being put out there in the world for me, and in such a powerful way, like, that almost brings sort of an empowerment to my everyday life, and leaves an impact that I think that not even just people in general, but even networks have been afraid to show, because they never know how people are going to resonate with. So the fact that the cleaning lady is sort of the pillar of that sort of representation feels just really, really great. And I'm excited to see how more people in the world are going to react to it and see what happens.
I love it. Well, you're both making an impact. Very excited for season 2. Season 3, 4, 5, however many 6, more 7, we can get. Come on. Great speaking with you both, and congratulations on the second season.
Thank you so much, Ron.
So good to see you again.